Hi, everyone. Welcome to the discussion around the Great Resignation, the Great Renewal, the Great Awakening, whatever you want to call it, right? How is it for us? How do we become a culture, a leadership, a team, organization where people are on purpose, creating a culture that's accepting, one that's growing, one that's of a learning culture, one that is human versus just the whole workism culture, which we are all great at doing. We are a nation of doing, but little of being. And studies show that that's true because we're the one nation that has so much wealth and so much growth and so much opportunity, which we're grateful for, but we're also one of the sickest cultures. And that goes across our boards with business. And I don't mean to be negative. What I mean is high blood pressure, high stress, high heart attacks, even high suicides. And the amount of pressure continues to build, and even starts with our young ones, right? The ones, our dear ones who are at school. So I want us to look at how is this the greatest opportunity that we can have and listen and learn from what is happening, because people are speaking with their feet. They're leaving, right? 4 million people just left in November, right? And they're going to continue to leave. So someone had just asked me a Forbes article, to write a Forbes article. And the question was, when is this great resignation going to stop? When is it going to end? And my response was, it will end when the key leaders, the CEO, the C-suite, who are the change agents, who set the culture, who allow culture, who bring diversity, who bring, or not diversity, who bring growth in terms of humanness, or unconsciously create dissension, or don't want to hear others, or really aren't working in communication and candor and making impeccability and connectedness, building trust, love, and purpose that I say is bringing a genius, seeing geniuses in people and noticing where they are lit up and what they most want to do instead of becoming robots. So I believe that's the most important gift that a C-suite can give their people, is seeing the genius in others, where they could do something for hours and hours because they have so much joy and direction that they become really creative, and that's where they'd rather spend most of their time. And many times people aren't having that. They're doing what they don't want to do, and they're doing it because of money. And that's why people are leaving, because they know that they are more than that. And they don't know the answer inside of themselves. So the biggest gift that you can give, if you're a leader listening, a founder, a CEO, a business owner, a director, a partner, the biggest thing you can do is ask your people, what do they most love doing? What do they most love doing at work, in life? How are they expanding in their heart space? And what is it that how can they bring that to work more? And how much time do they have that at work? And can they envision doing something that would be of benefit to the company that would bring more of that in? Just having those simple conversations changes the culture, because someone is being asked a question that they probably haven't been asked their entire life. We weren't certainly asked that at school. What do we most love doing? What do we want to do? What do we think our purpose is? Where do we think we shine? How do we want to expand and grow from the inside? How do we want to have our heart expansion, our soul expansion, just not our mind expansion? And we've only worked on our mind. So we want to use IQ, EQ, and BQ, which is body intelligence, emotional intelligence, and IQ. And how do we align those three learning centers, our three wisdom centers, in order to know ourselves, know each other, and grow together? Isn't it all just for learning instead of right or wrong? So just want to friendly remind you that key C-suite people are the key people that hold the keys to an organization's culture. And it's very nebulous. So if you have questions about how to do that, reach out to me. This is what I do. I support leaders in getting what is their culture really like and taking a hard look at it instead of denying or not facing, because it's scary. Lovingly, how can we look at that? And secondly, what are the very next steps to bring engagement, to bring discussion, to bring purpose, to understand the values that are there, and how do we go deeper around the values And how do we clear out what's keeping us from living in a state of curiosity and genius and growth, right? How do we grow and develop as leaders? How do we hold ourselves back unconsciously? Because 95% of the time we're repeating habits, and our habits are based on our thinking, which are based on then our emotions that come up around our thinking. And then we have a habit of behavior around that. And we do the same thing over and over again unconsciously because we're not thinking, we're on autopilot, but yet we expect a different result, which, you know, Einstein says that that's insanity. So if you're not getting a result you want in any area, growth in your leadership team, growth with your next set of leaders down, growth in your culture, growth in your revenue is going to be the bottom line, right? Culture generates clients, potential clients, which generates sales, which generates leads, which generates revenue. And so if we don't have this mastered, we're going to continue to suffer. So long and short of the answer is, what did I tell Forbes? I said, once leaders become curious to understand their people as to what they want and their purpose and where do they want to go in their life and their work, once leaders start to ask those questions and get out of the work mentality driven by toxic fear, meaning the have tos, I shoulds, I better. And you can feel that adrenaline push. That adrenaline push that most cultures have is out of fear. If I don't do this, then things are going to fall apart, or I can't really trust that person, so I'm going to do it myself. We don't do it consciously. So until a leadership team is willing to look at how we go about our work, instead of just getting things done, how can we do it in a kinder way, or more compassionate way, or more authentic way, or more communicative way that builds a win for everyone, a win solution for all, instead of I need it done, so you better do this, which is usually a win-lose proposition. And that's why people are leaving. And also a bully culture where there's gossip, where there's drama, where there's someone that people are afraid to talk to, or things aren't said because there's going to be some fallout or some reactivity. And so people learn to walk on eggshells. If there's any of that, we will not see the end of the Great Resignation. So let's not pretend it's not there, guys. Let's look at what's really happening. It's our greatest opportunity to shift our leadership development, to create conscious cultures, to create authentically and self-aware. So self-awareness is our biggest answer. So a leadership team that's self-aware, noticing how they're doing how they're creating their leadership team. Are they doing it out of trust and love and compassion, or are they doing it out of anxiety, defense, have tos, shoulds, it's my way or the highway, and I'm not really hearing you? So we have wasted meetings and we repeat the same meetings over and over, and there aren't clear results, there aren't clear who's doing what by when types of things. That uncertainty creates fear in cultures. When things aren't certain, especially in meetings, of what's happening and who's doing it, and there's lack of radical responsibility, that also creates fear and drama. And that fear and drama permeates all the way through a culture. So we want to look at that as well. So I want to share with you before we hang up, I wrote building a dream team. If we want to dream big, I believe we all have a desire in our heart and in our mind of who we want to become and what we're here to do. We might not stop and think about it, and that not stopping and thinking about it limits us in our personal leadership and professional leadership, and it keeps us not living out of joy. We're living out of stress. And so to be fueled by what we most want, that creates joy inside of us. And that disconnection causes us to have overwhelm and stress when we aren't living that way, when we don't have a whole yes to our decision making and we're just on autopilot. So I want to bring up, I wrote this, which I'd like to share with you. So your dream team. Running a prosperous business as a leader can be overwhelming, especially when you add more people to your team, especially when we're looking to hire different people or fill a team because certain people have left. All of that changing and shifting creates the possibility to grow, but it can also create a lot of overwhelm. Having more impactful meetings where everyone shares and takes responsibility for a specific outcome with time deliverables, collaboration, and clear communication to truly work as a winning team with fun, joy, and trust is what I would call a dream team. Results from having a dream team like that, our culture and revenue grow. So how do we get out of drama, frustration, isolation, lack of trust, exhaustion, loss of time and energy, which in turn is loss of revenue, and endless meetings? CEOs and business owners, your business will only grow as far as you go in your personal and professional growth. How are you taking radical responsibility to lead how you show up with a clear vision and action each day? What is your goal to grow as a leader and how to grow your team, not just in what you do and the revenue, but how you're showing up together and how are you connecting each month, each week, each day, each quarter, which is going to end up in your year. Here are the 4 steps to master building a dream team. My 4 steps that I would like for you to consider. 1, taking radical responsibility as a leader. Notice what you're creating for yourself inside of yourself, meaning what thoughts are you having that you continue to ruminate on that are bringing you frustration, anger, fear, anxiety, joy, creative energy, even sadness. Notice how you behave when you have a certain belief about your partner, your child, your business, your day. How are you unconsciously, because we're unconscious every 95% of the time, how are you unconsciously creating what you don't want? And are you owning the results you have in every area of your life and work without blame or shame? Are you getting curious as to what's your responsibility that you can take action on? Do you look at the world as for you and for your learning? Do you notice how your defense rises in certain areas of your life when you have the thought that you should be getting a different answer, or someone should be doing something different that they're not, or that they are not being heard? The world may seem against you in that moment. Just wonder when you get a response or an answer you don't want. Accept yourself without judgment, that you are right where you need to be and that everything is for your learning, if you're willing to get out of defense. Noticing is the moment, in that moment is the most important step and the game changer. Noticing where you are in your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. The first step to radical responsibility is to see yourself and know yourself. How are you really reacting inside to what's outside of you? What are you truly believing that's causing you to suffer? Taking radical responsibility is to know that you are responsible for your thoughts that bring your feelings and your behaviors. No one can change this for you, and you are 100% responsible. To embrace your life and to know that you are like no other, you are a gift, and to learn about who you are called to be and what you're here to do and who you want to become is totally here for you. And this is your radical leadership. This is your responsibility to get clear on you. Radical responsibility to lead is by leading your people because you're leading yourself. That's what leadership is how are you showing up? That's only in your lane. You can only change you. And we get frustrated when we want someone else to change and we try to change them and we can't. Then we get frustrated and they can feel it, and that builds a disconnection and they're not happy. So I'm just going to give you with that first piece. The other 3, I'll keep going through, and let me know if you want me to email you my article that I just wrote for Forbes on the next 3 steps to building a dream team. Love to talk with you about it. Reach out to me if you're interested in setting a half-hour meeting with me to discuss what it looks like to have a culture assessment, to see really truly where are you in your culture and facing what's there, so we don't have people just ending and leaving and picking up and leaving. And how are we, if we aren't facing what's really here, we can't grow and change. I know it's scary, but we can get through this together. So reach out to me if you're an HR person and you're really committed to growing your people and having your leadership team grow, having your leadership develop, and you're responsible for growing your culture in a different way. Reach out to me as well. I'd love to talk with you. Happy to do, I love doing workshops around this as well. Would love to do that. If you want to discuss that, we can discuss retreats, workshops, as well as just a 30-minute one-to-one, like what does it look like for me to do a culture assessment with you all? Okay, hope you are well, first of all, and taking care of you on this February 22nd. Would love to hear what you're creating for yourself the middle of this first quarter. Are you getting the results you want, and where are you not? And how can we learn from that and grow? Thanks so much. Be well.